So if you really want to know a lot about Ryan, it's 14 pages. Enjoy.
You should just write a book.
To Love and Lose.
Use that as information, as like...
I do want to write a book.
Write a book.
I have an idea for an autobiography called Memoirs of a Jail Baby.
I think the title alone would catch people's eye.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very much the kind of guy that likes to throw something at you and you go, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Maybe I should find out a little more. Like speaking in. All right.
And then he rapes you.
In my book, it would be just your mind, but life
It does.
is a great metaphor, pretty much. Either getting fucked or fucking someone. On that note, all right. This one's mine. I could tell something was wrong from the moment I saw her. The usual vibrancy that I find so irresistible was replaced with fear and doubt. Go look in your bathroom, she said. Laying on the counter, I saw it. In our over-litigious world, the blue donut no longer proclaims the news. Just one simple word. Pregnant. I was immediately sucked into the eddy of doubt that plagued my accidental lover. We had to be sure. So she made an appointment for the coming Tuesday to verify our fears. I anticipated that day with great anxiety. I needed to know, to create a solid path to follow. But the day came with no result. The doctor canceled at the last minute. Life was torturing me for the sin of corrupting Aaron's innocence. What I feared more than anything was the uncertainty. I've always feared it more than death itself. Death is going to happen. It's inevitable. While I cannot anticipate the when, I can try to prepare for it. Uncertainty gives me no straws to grasp at. Nothing to get ready for, nothing to control, to steer, or get my bearings. Nonetheless, a week later, our suspicions were confirmed. The depth charge known as a baby had been detonated into my life. My notions became chaotic shrapnel, cutting shards into my every thought and confidence. In those early stages, my mind was a flurry of fret. My brain conceived every outlandish scenario, from adoption to challenging for sole custody. Only occasionally would a rational thought throw a lifesaver into the churning murk of my thoughts. Survived Lisa, Ryan. You will survive this. My first difficulty was Erin. She has been a conundrum between my word and my nature since I fell in love with her. For one symbolized by fire, it is my nature to burn that which I hold closest. But my word, the mock chivalry, deceives me into trusting that I will do what is best. I loved her. I hurt her. A little over a year after I first picked the lock to her chastity, I had left a time bomb in her life. No matter how little commitment she wanted from me, she would now be linked to me for the rest of her life. And while it is undignified, asinine, and unbefitting the phoenix, the human portion of my soul affixed misplaced blame and shifted to lament and anger. You should have known better. You played with one born afire, and we both got burned. Why was I never good enough for you? My life was finally going in a direction I wanted it, and now this comes to fuck everything up. Angry more at myself, but blaming Aaron, I sought revenge in my life through self-pity and self-destruction. I desperately sought the affection of a woman I hadn't corrupted. Yet I was still afraid to corrupt another with my desperation. Eventually, I came full circle. It took both of us to create this child. It will take both of us to continue creating him. Although we may never be one, our unity will still exist in our son. It'll have to be enough. However, there was another storm on the horizon, and its name was Kinney. My family is a curse, who it is my responsibility to love. No one else can understand them. They don't even love themselves very well. Ours is a family where dysfunction is the only way we function. It's like some unsolvable, incomprehensible equation that must still exist if the fundamental laws of reality are to hold true. No one else should have to take the taint of Kinney upon them, but someone now does. One poor mother and a marked child. I am sorry that both of you will have to share the blight of Kinney. I'm so very, very proud of that. There is a twisted pride in surviving the curse of Kinney. The survival is a quest to turn all that dysfunction into unyielding potential of creating something beautiful from all the filth. Is it any wonder that I fought so hard with Aaron to ensure that the label Kinney was somewhere in my son's name? Another son to carry on the selling name, another to try and make it mean something. The mark of Kinney is my stamp of selfish pride in having created something from nothing, my greatest project ever. Initially, the reward of my child felt as though I had been sentenced to 18 to life. I had reached a point in my life where I was ready to move on from Aaron. I lamented something as trivial as the loss of my loved life. My whole life was soon to belong to someone else. Control of my existence had shifted, seemingly overnight, from the culmination of my experiences to a little person not even half formed yet. A deadline had been placed on my youth. Slowly, acceptance began to quell the hurricane of emotions, and uncertainty turned into certain doom. I began to make plans. In true Ryan fashion, I looked at the future. It was time to get to work. My anticipated son gave my dreams a sense of urgency, a deadline. A series of shelved, unfinished art projects burst into an organized chaos of activity. My art studio was erected in 4 months. A room full of storage was converted into an actual room. My most personal space, my bedroom, has always undergone radical changes each time my personal mindscape must radically change. It, like my life, was incomplete. It now better reflected the man I wanted to become. Chaotic, nuanced, lived in. Not the man whose most brilliant pieces lay hidden in boxes. My entire foundation, which my home had become since the last foundation was shattered, is still undergoing major baby renovations. This time I made room for someone else in my life. To the beloved mother of my son, who I always loved if for no other reason than she gave me this new life, I say this. Just as fire breeds, we too shall watch our little spark explode into life. We will guide, tend, and fuel. It will be our job to give the energy of the universe form and function. The fires of a phoenix and the faith of a believer burn within our child. His blessed union of souls says, love will find a way. Ours will find its way into our child. I love you, Aaron, but I will love our child more. I remain full of doubts and insecurities in my life, as one self will end when our child is born. Born of con artists and addicts, this cliche haunts me. Can I do it right? The only promise I can make is that the world will never be the same. The phoenix is drawing to a close. The latest manifestation of Ryan, the anti-father, shall rise from its ashes, bearing, like all spent phoenixes, new life. As I enter this new chapter in my life, I have one thing left to express. Of all the people it could have been with, of all the doubters and underestimators, all the possibilities, potentials, mistakes, and failures, for all my insistent ramblings, babblings, worries, and obsessions, to the world in which I bring my son, I say this. Fuck you, bitch. This one's mine. So yeah, super personal, and that's actually shorter than I wanted to make it.
Shorter than most of your kids.
Yeah, I kind of condensed a whole very long period of wording into that 2 pages, which I cut the margin down to, which is great. Okay, comments?
I think that anybody that isn't planning to have a child feels like it's a death sentence. And then you realize it's an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. You want to say something? You almost look like you wanted to.
No, I don't know, honestly. It
Uh,
was good though.
Josh?
Okay. I hardly ever know what to say about what you write online. Because on one hand, typically if somebody did something like that rambling, I would tell them to cut it or edit it or whatever. But you have a way of writing that way and it feeling like an intentional style choice. And it works. And it doesn't seem like you're rambling. It seems like the rambling is part of the experience.
It's very much a reflection of my manic personality.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So, I mean, like, there are a few parts where I think you repeat yourself a little much, but that's literally like, this is one of the first times I actually have this non-critique about it, but it's like one line here. It's not like an entire paragraph that you're repeating what the paragraph before, like you did in some other stuff. So, but it, like I said, it flows well in an interest. It feels like it's an intentional style choice as opposed to an accidental ramble.
It's not an intentional style choice, but it's a reflection of my personality. I don't think I could write any other way than this kind of ranty, rambly sort of way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like the ranting and raving with madman. It sounds like it's structurized
It's
rambling.
Yeah.
organized chaos.
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a whole lot of thoughts that hit me while I'm driving or standing around, which I very rarely do. I don't sit still for very long.
That and the intensely personal nature of it makes any real critique I have of it non-sequitur. But I don't have much at all to say about it in the form of critique. I
At you voiced every single thought that you had about the child, good, bad, everything. I want it for myself. Maybe I don't want it at all. You know, like not a lot of people are honest with that. But when you're not planning to have a child, that is just human nature. Do I really want this? I don't know. Well, if I want it, then I want it just for me. Do I want it just for me? Because that's a lot. You know, I mean, I really got, like, that's how I felt when I found that I was pregnant. I was just like, oh, shit. Are you kidding me right now? Life is over. No, it's not. Just the end. You didn't realize it, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, I think that's a hit the nail on the head kind of thing. Is the reason why I don't have that much of a problem with the rambling is that it's excruciatingly honest.
And it gets somewhere in the end. Like, there's a conclusion in the end. It's not just rambling for the sake of rambling. It's rambling for the sake of explaining how I got to this point at this moment in time.
I like the anti-father
Yes.
brought back in.
We were discussing,
I
you were
really like
discussing
that
that
poem
after
that you
that.
read at that open mic night.
I
like how
That was to my godson, which
Yeah.
I don't like godson, so he's the anti-child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that will actually officially become my chapter in my life title, even though I've been calling myself Dante's anti-father since he was born 2 years ago. It's, and Aaron likes to argue with me, Guy Aaron, not the one that's pregnant. My best friend Aaron, his son is Dante. He's like, we can't use that, you've already used it. Bullshit, I can't. I made this shit up, I put these labels on it, I can do whatever the hell I want with it. But there you go, Aaron's like super protective of his child. He, you know, like most parents, thinks his child is better than everyone else's.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I'm just like, oh,
The kid will be
that's
interesting.
real.
The kid will be interesting. Dean, any comments?
Well, right off the bat, the first thing that came to me while listening to it was, then this was before I knew it was 3 to 6 pages long, however long it was. Well, it seemed like 3 or 6. But before I knew that, the first time you use Aaron's name, something about it just didn't feel right. I don't know if it was
That I refer to her as a random person and don't actually refer to her name until later on?
You refer to her as a specific individual deeply involved in your life. But it's more, I don't know, it just seemed more personal, more seductive almost in the wording when you referred to her as her. And then when you address her by name in the third person, it just kind of ruined the flow at that point for me.
And to understand that transition, I
think that's a fair criticism.
No, I agree with him, and I think in that transition it's slightly conversational because I assume that most of the people know me, and I would assume you read Love Poet first, which is all about this year-long romance of living in the moment between two people that she never wanted to commit with me, and now it's gone from she is my lover to she's going to be the mother of my child. So it flows, it's intentional in that it flows from she is this lover to she's Aaron. It's very well possible. Could be love.
Uh-oh.
Fine.
Interesting.
Indeed.
I gotta call my dad like as soon as he's picked up.
Okay, go for it.
My second point was the wording of it.
I'm going to be totally rude in this case by you.
Yeah, that's fine. The wording of it, I really enjoyed the phrases you used and
You can use mine if you need it.
the words and descriptions, and it actually reminded me of how I like to write some of my stuff. So, just personal interest, I thought it was neat. And as far as the flow goes, what Josh was like, it's a flow, it seems intentional, even though it wouldn't work elsewhere, it seems like something on purpose. The reason for that is because the whole thing reads like a diary entry, like a journal entry.
I do agree with that. So. It's very much a journaling piece. And so maybe it was an assumption to assume it comes off that way in that piece, but the her transition to the Aaron is intentional. She's this mysterious lover. It's this, we're just going to live in the moment. It's a Romeo and Juliet romanticized thing to reality. She's pregnant. She's Aaron. So that's why I kind of hit you with it abruptly, just as abruptly as I hit you with, well, it's not as abrupt, but as I hit you with pregnant.
You see, and when you describe it, I can see that. You know, it's like, bam, she's now a person in my eyes. You know, she exists as an individual.
Well, she always existed as a person, but rather than existing as the ideal person, she now exists as reality.
Yes. See, that doesn't come through for me at all in the actual poem itself.
So maybe I need to do something with it. I don't know.
Now that you explained it, I can see it, but...
But I wouldn't know how to make that clear to people otherwise, you know? How would you like the ending?
Yeah, definitely.
I like it.
It's this whole kind of slightly sappy, very honest piece, and at the end it's like, fuck all of you, this kid's mine.
It sounds very
It's
like
taking ownership of the child.
yeah,
It goes from one
and
end of
it's
the spectrum completely to the other end.
Mhm.
It's very-
Yeah, this is mine. That's it. From I don't know about this to
it's like you're taking responsibility, and it sounds very protective, like very like you're not just gonna blow it off and be like, oh yeah, I have a kid, he's over there somewhere. It's like
part-time dad type thing.
yeah, and it's
Now, and Erin referred to me once, and I bitched her out for that. For the same reason you do not call her my baby's mama. It's disrespectful to me, because I don't want you calling her that.
You see, where they get the feeling, and I got that at the end too, and I liked the ending of it, but I got something different from it than they did. Well, they took it as you're being a responsible father, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be involved in his life, and I'm going to do what's right by him. I took it as, this child is mine. It's an extension of me. It's an extension of what I've created. It's basically an ego thing.
It is definitely all those things you said. That's not the way I intended it, but I can definitely see it. And it came through. It came through just because it's me writing it, basically.
yeah.
Now speaking on the way I came up with this, the title and that end line actually came from an imaginary conversation I had with my ex-wife's family. Because I constantly, Josh has mentioned before, he noticed that if I ever have to repeat something I've said to someone, it comes off almost verbatim, the way I said it to the other person, like it's a rehearsed speech. That's because I rehearse scenarios. I don't rehearse, but I have imaginary scenarios in my head constantly. This one was, I had, 2 years after my divorce, as soon as I got fired, my ex-wife's father sent me an email saying he wanted me never to contact their family again. He had known me since I was 14. We were very close. He liked me better than he liked his daughter. He had spent that entire summer in 90-degree heat, and this is a 50-some-year-old man with heart problems, building that barn. So he was very much dedicated to my life. The summer I got divorced from his wife, he was over here every weekend mowing my lawn for me. But he's also very much a blue-collar man. And he didn't like the fact that his daughter went to college and bitched about it constantly. He was very resentful about his daughter because she ran off with a man 31 years older than him with a lot of money. And it's not to say I had told him a long time ago when our divorce happened that if she made it a choice between her and me, he was to choose her. But it was still just as hurtful because he sent it to an email, and this man doesn't know email at all. It was very impersonal. But he pretty much dumped me, as his daughter did, because I was unemployed, which meant in the blue collar mind, you're worthless slacker. Why aren't you out looking for a job? What's this fucking school thing? Go work, you lazy slob. My parents said the same damn thing. They're blue collar. Job means security. No job means you're a lazy asshole mooching off the system. Granted, I went to school, I got a degree, and I have a job that's better than what I had before with this degree. You try to explain that to parents that have spent 30 years working in shipping and receiving, you know? So, yeah, her father kind of dumped me after that. Well, I had actually ran into them in the Ashtabula Mall. They go there for walks all the time. So this was a replay of that scenario of me running into them with my son. And the scenario was like, they're going to come up and see me with this kid and say, oh, is that Aaron's son? And my response would be, no, this one's mine. And then that shock value of, a little bit of pride of shocking them into saying, no, he's my kid. This is what you've missed in my life because you dumped me.
I don't know if you realize it or not, but You said that you divorced his wife.
Yeah, I caught
Did
that.
I say
right.
that?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that could have been
Right, Lisa wound up turning out a lot more like her mother than I expected in the end. Her mother's schizophrenic, her sister's schizophrenic. Lisa's subtly schizophrenic. Very similar to a Marilyn Monroe syndrome, where they can invent memories, but the memories they always invent, and they're completely convinced that the reality are horrific, damaging memories. So, there you go. Yay.
But,
Stuff.